I am through with you, panelists. You have no job and only graduated from middle school. I refuse to be a host for an elderly woman who contributes nothing. Just pack up your stuff and get out of here. I've been married to you for a long time, so be grateful. In other words, you want a divorce, he declared in a high-pitched voice before leaving abruptly. Don't ask me back. You know what I mean. Should I make it clear you're just not smart enough to get it? Are you going to divorce me and remarry my sister? They exchanged surprised glances. My name is Edna, and I live with my husband, Thomas. I'm in my late 50s. He's 5 years younger than me. I have a younger sister, and she and my husband went to college together. My sister is the reason I met my husband. We have 2 children, both now independent with families of their own. At my age, I often think of the past. A lot has happened to me in my life up to this age. I'm happy to have had 2 children, but with my husband, I'm not happy at all. He makes fun of my lack of education and doesn't have a job. You don't even know. That's why you only have a middle school degree. This is what my husband always said to me when we argued. My husband is right. I did only graduate from junior high school. I was hoping to go to high school. After all, I didn't hate learning, but we were so poor at that time. In those days, the internet was not yet widespread, and the world was very small. So I did as my parents told me and graduated from junior high school and got a job. But my sister, who is 5 years younger than me, graduated from college. That's because I worked hard to get her through college. It's not easy, only living with what I had, so I didn't want her to suffer the same. I decided to work harder. Fortunately, my sister was an excellent student. She got into an elite university, and of course, my husband was a classmate of hers, so he's from there too, and he's so proud of it. When we argued, he'd use this education as an excuse. When we first met, he never showed any side of it. So when we got married and had our first daughter, I was at a height of my happiness. But gradually, my happiness began to disappear. At the time, it was common for people to quit their jobs when getting married. I was going to quit my job and focus on my child, but my husband never allowed it. He wanted me to work full-time while taking care of the house and raising our child. He quit his job when our first son was born. I was expecting him to allow me to be a housewife then so that I could focus on the house chores, but he did nothing. Housework and child care were still my job. If he doesn't help me with anything, I thought, at least he could bring money to the family. I'm not sure I can raise 2 kids on my own. I was worried about money. 6 months after he quit his job, I suggested to him, "Hey, it's time for you to get a job." "Who do you think you're talking to? You're the only one in front of me. It's been 6 months. Are you going to stay unemployed? You think you can tell me what to do?" "Oh, not again. Unlike you who graduated from junior high school, I'm someone greater." "I'm happy for you then. I guess you'll get your final goal soon." "If I want a job, I get a job, and you don't get to choose." "Your job? I'm able to choose." "Oh yeah? Well then, pick one." "Though I can't. There's no job I want to do." He may have graduated from an elite university. He may be good at studying, but he has zero ability to earn a living. If he doesn't do anything, his degree from a fancy university is just a decoration. Then at least do something for the family. What kind of idiot are you? It's ridiculous for me to do it, isn't it? It's you who gave birth to the children. You should be grateful. The reason I've been with this man for years without getting divorced is because of the circumstances. We had in our generation, people will stab you in the back if you get divorced, and the mother is not the only one who gets attacked. The children will be the target of unwanted rumors. I really don't want that to happen, but they're both grown up now. I think it's okay to cut it off with him. I'm almost ready to retire. Am I thinking that a divorce at this age would be a good idea? Just thinking about it makes my future look brighter. And I've been studying for my high school equivalency exam for a while now that the kids are grown-ups. I have more free time to study. As a result, I passed the exam. Of course, I haven't told my husband about it. I know he would make fun of me if I told him. The other day, I received the letter of acceptance. I received a phone call from my sister. "Hey, how's it going? I'm coming now. You're home, right? What's going on?" "Well, I'm home, okay. I'm at the station. Unlock the door in 10 minutes. Oh, hey, she hung up. For me, 10 minutes later, my sister really came. "What's wrong? How was your husband?" "We got divorced." "What? When?" "Oh, when was it?" "It was, 6 months ago." "I didn't know that. I didn't tell you." "So, by the way, do you have an extra room in the house?" "No, we don't." "Yes, you do. The kids are all grown up." "Yes, but we still have room for them in case they want to come over. I've left their rooms as they are." "Then the guest room is empty." "Well, it is." "I'll just stay there then." "Okay, I'll start living here from today." "Wait a minute, isn't it too urgent?" "No, it's not. I've got Tim's permission." "That's right, I told her to come over if she's in trouble." "My husband just came home from the convenience store. Why did you decide that without me?" "It's strange. Your sister is in trouble. You're supposed to help her, aren't you? That's why middle school graduates are idiots. You're right, and she doesn't help people. Ethel got together with him and against me. I know she's always been like this. Even though I can't stand it anymore, I did my best for her. She's still my family, but I can't help but feel a bit bitter about it. After that, my opinion was just here. I started living with Ethel, and I'm the only one who works in this family. Ethel and Thomas did nothing every day. If you are going to stay at someone's place, at least help out. Why isn't Thomas paying or doing anything? Oh, Jen, you must have had a hard time after graduating from middle school. You're really obsessed with money." I was shocked, and after a while, Ethel and Thomas started going out together. What bothered me the most was their behavior toward each other. I don't think they are not aware of this, but it's as if they are lovers. I see. I'll have to figure it out the truth of this too. It won't be surprising if it was a relationship from now on, because they don't have common sense. I hired an agency to investigate them, and a week later, the results were just as I expected. They were having an affair. When I told my children this, they agreed with me to get a divorce. Now I have no more regrets. I decided to wait for the perfect time to get divorced. While they were gone, I started for my law degree. It all started when I was working as a janitor at a lawyer's office. While I was working there, an employee of the law firm told me that he had passed the bar exam at the age of 69. I was deeply impressed. I thought it was amazing that someone in his 70s could have a goal and challenge something. After hearing that story, I decided that I wanted to take the challenge too. And then the day came for me to retire. I come home, and Tim and Ethel had a strange smile on their faces. "I want to talk to you. What is it?" "You retired today, right? That means you're unemployed. How are you going to make a living? You have no job and graduated from middle school penniless. I'm done with you. I'm not going to let an old woman parasite to me. Never. Just pick up your stuff and get out of here. I've been married to you for a long time, so be grateful." In other words, you want a divorce. Then he left in a high-pitched voice, "Don't ask me back. You know what I mean. Should I make it clear? You're just not smart enough to get it. Are you going to divorce me and remarry Ethel?" They looked at each other in surprise and started laughing again. "You knew it. Then let's make it quick. I don't need you anymore. If you really don't want to leave, I can consider it if you get down on your knees. They won't be necessary. I wanted to divorce this man when I retired, so this is convenient for me." "Then say this." I took the divorce papers out of my bag. The two of them froze with their mouths hanging open. "Please do it quickly. I'm leaving." "How come it's you to prepare the divorce papers?" "Because I was thinking of getting a divorce. I thought if I was going to get a divorce too, this would be the right time." I changed my clothes for the last time. "Hurry up. Let's go." "Isn't it nice that Jen is going anyway?" Tim signed the divorce paper at her urgent okay, that's all. I checked his entry without hesitation. I guess he didn't like my attitude. He's still swearing. "Well, you're a middle school graduate. You're going to die soon, you know that." "Oh, I don't know about that. Please, both of you." My voice was cue for the kids to come into the living room. "Here, hold this so he doesn't tear it up." "Okay, I got it. You guys are really gross. You're the worst father ever. Graduating from an offensive university is such a big honor for you, but it doesn't do anything for your life. You're happy with your decoration, and you've been employed your whole life. That's really stupid, don't you think? But the truth is, my daughter beat him to the punch. You're really a dumb, unemployed old jerk. Okay, kids, that's too true. You guys are so honest. I've got proof of your affair. Way to pay us the lemony." Well then, I left the house with my children. After they had no money, they should have paid me $1 million. That surprised they paid for not having a job. I guess they borrowed money from the dangerous lender who lent money to people with no job and no grabs of orders. And then I filed for divorce and became a free person. Now I can finally concentrate on my studies. I work part-time as a cleaner and studied hard. As a result, I was accepted into the law school of my choice. After 4 years of study, I completed graduate school and managed to pass the bar exam. Then I became the lawyer I always wanted to be. My children, accompanied by theirs, threw me a little party. My life was so wonderful. But you know what they say about those two. I was looking for me. How do I know that my ex-husband came to my new house? Please help me, I heard him crying. Your sister Ethel, she doesn't work at all. We have no money. I went to the kids. They won't see me. Of course not, you idiot. What do you mean? I say you're in. You say you will be something great. All you had was a college name. You've got nothing to live for. Don't be stupid, you're just trying to get on your good side. You're just a middle school crazy 8. You're not even close to me. Actually, I just passed the bar. Ah, well, anyway, I'll fall to the same level as him if I flop my education here. Now you're asking for money from whom you've always made fun of. It's hilarious. I mean, why do you live in such a nice place? I do because of my job. You work? Yeah, I do. I used to be a janitor at the law firm. What do you mean? You're a private cleaner? Yeah, I am. I clean my own desk. Your desk? What? What are you talking about? I left the door chain on and opened the door. Here you go. I showed my ex-husband my lawyer badge. He just froze. You know, if you don't give up, you can make your life as long as you want. If you continue to follow me around like this, we will fight you in the court. I said that much and closed the door loudly. After that, my ex-husband never came at me again. Ethel did once, but I told her the same thing, and she never showed up again. Just like him, the two of them who are only educated will continue to fall apart without any effort. I guess they'll just keep on going down the path they're on. If you don't give up in life, anything is possible. Jen is a person of hard work. She deserves our respect. I'm glad her children are fully on her side. I hope Jen has a fulfilling life.
Hey everyone, I'm Erin. You've been asking about what happened with my sister-in-law, and trust me, it's a wild ride. Let me start from the beginning. Life wasn't always picture perfect. 10 years ago, I was just an 18-year-old trying to keep it together for my two younger brothers after our parents' car accident. I'll never forget standing in our tiny apartment kitchen, looking at Mike and Carl's hungry faces. "We'll be okay," I promised, forcing a smile through my tears. "We're staying together, no matter what." The next day, I got a job at Wonderland Park. The pay wasn't great, but the hours were flexible. Kids would come up and ask, "Miss, can you make the cotton candy look like a princess?" I'd turn it into a game, making them laugh while their parents recorded on their phones. One day, I decided to film myself at work. A day in the life of a sister mom. I posted it online, and the views exploded. People connected with our story. What started as a few followers quickly grew into hundreds, then thousands, and eventually millions. "Erin, your latest video made me cry," my coworker said one day. "The part about teaching Carl to ride a bike? So sweet." It was around then that James walked into my life. My friend Sarah brought him to the park one summer evening. "You must be the famous Erin," he said, smiling. "Sarah won't stop talking about your channel." We clicked instantly. He didn't see a girl from the wrong side of the tracks. He saw someone who fought for her family. 2 years later, we were standing at the altar. Mike, now 22, was our best man, and Carl, 18, couldn't stop grinning. That's when I met Patricia, James's sister. She hugged me at the reception, all smiles and designer perfume. "Welcome to the family, dear," she said sweetly. "James told us about your interesting background. So brave of you to share everything online." I felt the sting but smiled anyway. Later that night, I overheard her talking to James's mom. "Did you see her brothers? At least she managed to keep them out of trouble, considering where they came from." "They're honor students," I said, making her jump. "Carl just got accepted to Stanford on a full scholarship. James wrapped his arm around me, and Mike's starting his master's program next fall." Patricia's smile tightened. "How wonderful. You must be so proud of pulling yourself up from, well, you know." She walked off, dropping hints about my past to anyone who'd listen. If only she knew what was coming. That night, in our hotel room, James held me close. "Don't let her get to you, babe. You're the strongest person I know." "I'm not worried," I said, thinking of the millions of followers who loved our family's journey. Some people just can't stand to see others succeed. Little did Patricia know, her attempts to dig up dirt on me would backfire spectacularly. But that's a story for another day. The tension at James's parents' house was palpable. Over dinner, Patricia scrolled through her phone, a smug smile on her face. "Erin, sweetie," she said, her voice dripping with fox innocence. "Wasn't the Starlight Club near your old neighborhood? Such an interesting place." I kept my face neutral, focusing on my plate. James's mom shifted uncomfortably. "Speaking of interesting places," Patricia continued, "I ran into someone who said they knew you from back then. Said you were quite the performer." James's dad cleared his throat. "Patricia, perhaps this isn't appropriate dinner conversation." Later that week, Mike burst into my house, breathless. "Erin, you won't believe what I just heard," he said. I was at the coffee shop near Patricia's office. She was there with some sketchy-looking guy. He was showing her old photos of you from the club. My heart sank. What did she say? She kept talking about a family reunion and how she'd show everyone the real you. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was Carl. "Hey sis, heads up. Patricia's been asking around about you at my old high school. She even tried to contact my guidance counselor." "Let her dig," I said, surprisingly calm. "She won't find anything I'm ashamed of." The next family dinner was a disaster. Patricia accidentally left her laptop open, with old photos of me displayed on the screen. "Oh, Erin," Patricia exclaimed, her voice dripping with fox concern. "I hope those photos weren't too private. You know how quickly things can spread online." James's mom pulled me aside later, her brow furrowed. "Dear, is everything okay?" Patricia mentioned. "Some concerns about your past." I met her gaze, unwavering. Mrs. Reynolds, I've always been honest about my life. You can ask James. That night, I discovered Patricia had contacted 3 of my old coworkers from the Starlight Club. My social media was flooded with friend requests from people I'd long tried to forget. "You won't believe this," Mike texted. "Patricia's planning something big for the reunion next month." She was on the phone talking about a presentation. James found me sitting in our bedroom, staring at old photos. He knelt beside me, his eyes full of understanding. "Aaron," Mike told me everything. I exhaled, the weight of my past heavy on my chest. "I had to do it, James. The hospital wouldn't treat Carl without a deposit. Dancing paid more in 3 months than Wonderland Park could in a year." He pulled me into a tight embrace. "I know, babe. I always known. And now Patricia's about to learn that shaming someone for surviving is a dangerous game." A slow smile spread across my face. Patricia had no idea the trap she was setting for herself. Sometimes karma needs a little push, and she was about to get shoved. Carl called again that evening. "Aaron, whatever Patricia's planning, we've got your back. No one messes with our sister." I hung up, feeling stronger than ever. Let Patricia think she had the upper hand. The higher she climbed, the harder she'd fall. The family reunion buzzed with laughter and chatter, the Reynolds backyard alive with twinkling lights. Then Patricia dimmed them, silencing the crowd. My heart quickened as she stood before everyone, a projector at the ready and that signature smirk plastered on her face. "Family and friends," she began, feigning gravity, "I have something important to share about our dear Aaron." The first slide flashed onto the screen, me in my old dancing outfit. Gasps rippled through the crowd. "Before she trapped my brother," Patricia continued dramatically, "Aaron lived quite a different life. Here she is at the Starlight Club." More photos followed, me counting bills, posing in costumes. "And here's the best part," she said with a triumphant sneer. She was seeing 3 wealthy men while dating James. The silence was electric. Then James stood, squeezing my hand. "Actually, Pat, those wealthy men were my business partners," he said calmly. "You remember them, right? You borrowed money from them to cover your casino debts." Patricia's smug expression faltered. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Really?" James pulled out his phone, his tone deadly cool. "Let me refresh your memory. February 15th, you borrowed $50,000 from the company account. March 3rd, another $75,000. Funny how those dates line up with your Vegas trips." Patricia's face turned ghostly white. "That's private information." "Like Aaron's past?" James shot back. "The past she told me about on our 3rd date, the one where she danced to save her brother's life." Mr. Reynolds stood abruptly, his face a storm of anger. "Patricia, what's this about company money?" "Daddy, I can explain." "Like you explained how Aaron was a gold digger," James interjected smoothly, "while you were embezzling from the family business." Mrs. Reynolds gasped. "The missing client payments, that was you." "I've been tracking the discrepancies for months," James continued. "Every time money disappeared, you were on another Vegas trip. The casino receipts match perfectly." Patricia's hands trembled as she tried to shut off the projector. "You don't understand. I was going to pay it back." "Like you paid back the $30,000 you stole from Mom's retirement fund?" James asked quietly. The crowd murmured in shock. The projector still displayed my old photos, but no one was looking at them anymore. I stood, my voice steady. "I'm not ashamed of my past, Patricia. Every dollar I earned kept my family alive and together." "What did your stolen money go to? Blackjack? Roulette?" Patricia's voice broke. "Aye." She turned to her father, but Mr. Reynolds was already on his phone. "Yes, I need to report an embezzlement case," he said coldly. "Daddy, please." Patricia collapsed into a chair, her mascara streaking down her cheeks. I watched as her carefully curated facade shattered. James wrapped an arm around me protectively. "I told you about my past because I trust you," I whispered. He smiled, loud enough for everyone to hear. "And I've never been more proud to be your husband." As the lights came back on, Patricia remained in the shadows, sobbing as her world crumbled around her. 2 weeks after the reunion, I stood by my kitchen window, watching her load the last box into her beaten-up Honda. The family guest house, where she lived rent-free for years, would soon be empty. "Aaron, dear." Mrs. Reynolds appeared at my door, her eyes red and weary. "We owe you an apology. We should have seen through Patricia's manipulation." You couldn't have known, I said, offering her a cup of coffee. I smiled. They're my greatest achievement. My phone buzzed with a message from Patricia's ex-fiancé. Just saw your video about what happened. I had no idea about the gambling. Thank you for saving me from a huge mistake. I glanced at my latest post, my past, my pride. It had already racked up 5 million views. The comment section overflowed with support. You turned dancing into an empire queen. Raised 2 brothers and built a business. Iconic. Patricia who? Only know Aaron the legend. The fallout for Patricia was swift. News of her embezzlement spread fast, and her law firm didn't take kindly to criminal charges. Last I heard, she was interviewing at fast food chains. Going live in 5, my producer called out. Since the scandal, my podcast Rising Above had skyrocketed in popularity. Today's topic, turning shame into success. Speaking into the microphone, I began. Sometimes, people will try to use your past to destroy your future. But here's the truth. Every struggle is a story of survival. During a break, James brought me water. Guess who I saw at Walmart? He said. Patricia, he answered, amused. She's working as a cashier. How the mighty fall, I mused. Did she say anything? Nope. Just kept her head down. Pretty different from when she was flaunting those photos. That evening, my brothers came over. Carl beamed as he showed off his Stanford diploma, and Mike was brimming with excitement about his upcoming job at SpaceX. Remember when you used to make us hot dogs and call it steak? Carl laughed. Remember when Patricia said we'd end up in jail? Mike added with a smirk. Look at us now. As we reminisced, my phone lit up with a notification. Patricia had tried to follow my business Instagram. 7 million followers and counting while she struggled to make rent. Should I accept? I asked James. He chuckled. Let her watch from afar. I smiled, declining her request. Sometimes the best revenge is living well. I looked around at my beautiful life. A loving husband, successful brothers, a thriving career, supportive in-laws, and a platform that helped others rise above their struggles. You know what? I said, turning back to James. Some people need to learn that when you dig graves for others, you might just fall into one yourself. As my podcast intro music began, I leaned into the mic. Time for another episode of Turning Pain into Power. What would you do if someone tried to shame you for your survival story? Would you expose their secrets immediately or let them dig their own grave like I did? I'd love to hear your thoughts, especially if you've ever dealt with toxic family members trying to tear you down. Sometimes, the hardest part isn't surviving the struggle. It's facing the people who weaponize it against you. Drop it if you believe your past made you stronger, not weaker. Hi everyone, I'm Jennifer, a successful real estate agent in the heart of Chicago. And this is how karma finally caught up with my toxic sister-in-law. It all started when my daughter Ava burst through my office door, her engagement ring sparkling like a beacon of joy. Mom, he proposed. Ava's excitement lit up the room. I jumped from my desk, nearly knocking over my coffee. My baby girl was getting married to Michael, the kind-hearted surgeon she met during her nursing residency. Have you told anyone else yet? I asked, my heart swelling with pride. Just you and Dad. I can't wait to share the news at Sunday dinner. Sunday dinner. A family tradition both cherished and endured. As if on cue, my brother-in-law Tristan and his wife, Diana, arrived that evening, right on schedule. Diana, in her usual designer ensemble, scanned our newly renovated living room with those calculating eyes. Congratulations, darling. A doctor in the family, how wonderful, Diana cooed, hugging Ava. Her gaze shifted to her daughter Rachel, who poked at her food with disinterest. Thanks, Aunt Diana. How's the job search going, Rachel? Still looking. Ava's voice was warm, but the tension at the table was palpable. Rachel muttered, not everyone lands a perfect job right out of school. Diana's smile tightened. Oh, speaking of perfect, remember when Ava won that national nursing scholarship? Rachel applied for that too. I caught my husband's eye and quickly steered the conversation. Diana, you're so talented at organizing events. Would you help with the wedding preparations? Of course I'd love to. Remember Rachel's Sweet 16? Everyone said it was the event of the year. I remembered. Diana had deliberately scheduled it the same weekend as Ava's dance recital, forcing the family to choose between them. We're thinking next spring. Ava beamed. Spring weddings are so common. Winter is much more sophisticated, Diana interjected, throwing a glance at Rachel. Rachel always dreamed of a winter wedding, right, honey? Rachel stabbed her chicken. Mom, please. Later that evening, my phone buzzed. Diana's name flashed on the screen. I answered, but all I heard was her voice, unfiltered and malicious. Listen, Rachel, we need to act fast. That little princess Ava thinks she can just waltz down the aisle with Michael. Don't worry, Mommy will make sure this wedding never happens. I've got connections at the country club. My blood ran cold. Diana had pocket dialed me by mistake, and I had heard every vile word. She had no idea she'd been caught. The next day, she arrived at my house with wedding magazines and a fake smile, oblivious to what I knew. These venues look lovely, I said, watching her scroll through options. You're such a help, Diana. That's what family is for, she replied, her smile saccharine and smug. But she didn't know I had recorded every word of her accidental call. She had started a war she couldn't win. That night, I couldn't sleep. My maternal instincts screamed at me to protect Ava. So I did what any mother would do. I started digging. Michael's quite the catch, isn't he? Diana's voice crackled through the recording. We just need the right girl to play his ex. Someone convincing enough to make Ava doubt everything. Rachel's bitter voice chimed in. Mom, I was in his med school class. I know exactly the type he likes. I took notes. My real estate networking skills kicked into high gear. A call to my friend at the country club revealed Diana's gambling habit. Another to the event planning committee exposed her history of sabotaging family weddings by double booking vendors. Did you hear about Diana's Christmas party fiasco? Margaret, a friend, whispered over coffee. She lost $50,000 at the casino that weekend. Tristan has no idea. I casually brought up Michael at lunch with Tristan's secretary. Oh, Dr. Hamilton, she said, leaning in conspiratorially. Rachel used to follow him around like a lost puppy in med school. It was uncomfortable for everyone. He even had to switch study groups to get away from her. The puzzle pieces were falling into place, but I needed more. So I hired a private investigator, one of the perks of having a healthy savings account, something Diana couldn't dream of with her gambling debts. A week later, the photos arrived. Diana meeting a young woman at a cafe, discreetly passing her an envelope of cash. As I examined the pictures, my phone buzzed again. Another pocket dial from Diana. This time, I was ready. I hit record. The vendors are lined up perfectly. Diana's smug voice echoed. One call from me claiming payment issues, and I'll drop the wedding like a hot potato. Ava will be devastated. But what about Michael's job? Rachel's voice cut in. You promised to handle that too. Tristan's golf buddy sits on the hospital board, Diana replied. One whisper about medical misconduct, and our dear future son-in-law's career goes up in smoke. I felt sick, but kept listening. And you're sure Jennifer doesn't suspect anything? Please, Diana scoffed. She's too busy playing perfect mom to notice anything. Besides, I've got bigger problems. The casino wants their money by next month. How much this time? Just $75,000, Diana sighed. But don't worry, I've got a plan. I ended the recording, my hands steady as I poured myself a drink. Diana thought I was blind. Time to show her how wrong she was. My phone pinged, a message from my PI. Found something interesting in Tristan's company financials. You're going to want to see this. When I opened the files, my jaw dropped. Diana wasn't just gambling away her shopping money. She was embezzling from Tristan's company. This wasn't just about the wedding anymore. It was about stopping a family saboteur who'd been poisoning us for years. I called my friend Margaret. Remember that casino dealer you mentioned? I think it's time we had a chat. The next morning, I secured backup vendors under my best friend's name. If Diana thought she could control everything, she was in for a surprise. Everything's ready, Mrs. Walker, whispered the backup caterer. Just say the word. Meanwhile, my PI delivered a stack of evidence, bounced checks, threatening messages from loan sharks, and the piece de resistance, $250,000 siphoned from Tristan's business accounts into offshore gambling sites. At a quiet cafe, I confronted Diana's hired actress. How much is she paying you to play Michael's ex? The woman stammered, I don't know what you're talking about. I slid an envelope across the table. Here's double. Now tell me everything. She promised me $5,000 to show up at the rehearsal dinner and cause a scene, the woman admitted. Said it was all about ruining some spoiled princess's wedding. Next stop, the hospital board. I presented Diana's history of slander attempts, along with a warning about potential liability. They were all ears. Then I paid a visit to Rachel's ex-boyfriend from med school. Rachel was obsessed with Michael, he said bitterly. She stalked me for 6 months after we broke up. I had to change my phone number twice. Finally, I made an anonymous call to Diana's casino contacts. Word is Diana Walker's planning to skip town before paying her debts. Thought you'd want to know. Rehearsal dinner arrived. Diana fidgeted with her phone, clearly wondering why her hired actress hadn't shown up. Standing, she raised her glass. "I'd like to make a toast," she said, her hands shaking. "To the happy couple." Before she could finish, 2 large men in suits entered the restaurant. "Mrs. Walker," one of them said, his voice low and menacing. "We need to discuss your outstanding balance." Diana's face went pale. I can pay next week." "That's what he said last month." Rachel jumped up. "Mom, what's going on?" "Nothing," Diana stammered. "Just a misunderstanding about some investments." I sipped my wine, watching my chess pieces fall perfectly into place. The next morning, Ava's wedding day. As guests arrived at the church, Diana was cornered by the same casino enforcers. "You can't hide forever," one growled. Tristan stormed in moments later, holding a stack of printed emails. The company theft, the gambling, offshore accounts. His voice was thunderous. "Diana, explain yourself." "Tristan, darling, I can explain." "Save it for the divorce lawyers," he snapped. Meanwhile, Rachel was having her own meltdown as old med school classmates arrived. "Oh my God, it's the stalker." One of the guests pointed in horror. "Remember how she followed Michael everywhere? She even tried to break into his apartment." The room fell into a stunned silence. Wedding guests stared at Rachel, their shock palpable. Her hospital colleagues exchanged horrified glances. "You told everyone I was crazy," Rachel shrieked, her voice cracking with rage. "I didn't have to tell anyone," I said calmly. "Your actions spoke for themselves." Diana grabbed her purse, ready to bolt, but the casino men blocked her path. "Actually, your accounts are frozen," Tristan announced, his voice cold and final. "There's a corporate fraud investigation." I smoothed the front of my mother of the bride dress, surveying the chaos with a sense of satisfaction. Then I addressed the room. "Now we have a wedding to celebrate. If anyone isn't here for the ceremony, feel free to leave." Ava and Michael's wedding proceeded flawlessly. Ava was radiant, blissfully unaware of the morning's drama. Diana and Rachel stood at the back, their reputations crumbling with every vow exchanged. 2 months later, Tristan's divorce from Diana was finalized. She lost everything. Last I heard, she was working double shifts at a diner to pay off her gambling debts. Rachel. She transferred to a small clinic after her obsessive past became public knowledge, her dream of a prestigious hospital career shattered. One morning, Ava called. "Mom, did you know anything about Aunt Diana's plans to ruin my wedding?" "Sweetheart," I replied, "some people create their own downfall. We just have to stay above it." 2 years later, a gold embossed envelope arrived in the mail. Tristan was remarrying a lovely accountant who specialized in fraud detection. Ironically, the engagement party was at the same diner where Diana now worked. "More coffee, Jennifer?" Diana asked, her designer bags replaced by dark circles under her eyes. "No, thank you, Diana. I think you've served me enough," I replied with a smile. Rachel now works in obscurity, her ambitions buried beneath her obsession. Sometimes karma doesn't need a grand gesture, just a subtle nudge. Ava and Michael are expecting their first child. As for me, I'm still selling houses, attending charity galas, and being the perfect wife and mother. No one ever suspected sweet, simple Jennifer had orchestrated Diana's downfall. The moral? Never mistake kindness for weakness, and never ever try to hurt my family. What would you have done? If you discovered someone toxic was actively sabotaging your child's future, would you expose them immediately? Or play the long game, letting them destroy themselves? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from parents who've had to protect their children from toxic family members. And remember, sometimes the quietest revenge is the most effective. Every like and subscribe helps bring stories of karma and justice to others facing similar situations. See you in the next tale of sweet, sweet revenge. Hi, everyone. I'm Joanna Jackson, a 30-year-old graphic designer working from my cozy home studio in Boston. Today, I'm sharing how my seemingly perfect life unraveled into chaos. But don't worry, I emerged stronger. One morning, Andrew, my husband, casually announced, "Honey, your mother's coming over for coffee." No warning, no concern for my looming deadlines. That's the third time this week, I muttered, trying to keep my frustration in check, while eyeing the half-finished designs sprawled across my desk. Andrew, a successful real estate agent who can close million-dollar deals, seemed blind to his mother's manipulative games. 2 years into our marriage, I thought I had it all. A loving husband, a thriving design business, and a beautiful home office. But there was one glaring problem. Anna, my mother-in-law from hell. "Did you reorganize my spice cabinet again?" I confronted her during one of her uninvited visits. "Oh, darling," she cooed, her syrupy voice grating on my nerves. "I'm just helping. You're so busy with your little computer drawings." At Sunday dinner, she struck again. "So Andrew tells me you're working on a big project," she said, slicing her meat with surgical precision. "Yes, it's for a major tech company," I replied, proud of my progress. "Speaking of projects," she interrupted, "Helen's daughter is starting a design business. Maybe you could give her some tips." That night, I noticed something strange. My laptop's portfolio tab was open. I never leave it open. "Babe, did someone use my computer today?" I asked. Mom needed to check her email. Andrew shrugged. The next morning, my sister Rachel barged in, phone in hand. "Your designs are all over social media," she hissed. "Look at what Helen's daughter posted." I froze as I scrolled through identical designs posted just hours before my client meeting. "This isn't a coincidence," Rachel whispered. "I've seen Anna snooping around your office when you're not looking." That evening, my best friend Diane called. "Girl, you won't believe what I overheard at the bank," she said. "Anna's been asking about your business accounts." The final straw, my office was ransacked, my external hard drive gone. Files deleted. "Maybe you just misplaced things," Andrew suggested. "You've been really stressed." "Are you seriously defending this?" I snapped. His phone buzzed. "Anna, right on cue." "Coming, Mom," he said, grabbing his keys. "We'll talk later." Left alone in my chaotic office, my hands trembled. This wasn't about spice cabinets or surprise visits anymore. My entire business was under siege, and Andrew refused to see it. "Something has to change," I whispered. Little did I know, the real nightmare was just beginning. The slap that would shatter everything was days away, but Anna's game was already in motion. Rachel hugged me tightly. "We need to document everything," she said. "This isn't normal, Joanna." "I know," I murmured, staring at the screen where Helen's daughter's stolen designs mocked me. "And I'm done playing nice." The day of Anna's surprise dinner party started with her usual power move. An unannounced visit. "I'm hosting bridge club here tonight," she declared. "Helen and Barbara are bringing their husbands. Don't embarrass Andrew." I was knee-deep in my biggest project yet, with a major deadline looming. My client needed the designs by 8 p.m. "These have to be perfect," I muttered, rushing between my desk and the kitchen. Then everything fell apart. The smoke alarm blared. The roast was burning. Meanwhile, corrupted files appeared in my project folder. "Something smells burnt," Anna's voice rang out from the dining room. "Just a small setback," I called back, panic rising. As I tried to salvage dinner, the file transfer kept failing. My heart sank. Someone was accessing my cloud drive. The doorbell rang again. Helen and Barbara swept in, their husbands in tow. "Still not ready." Helen smirked. "Need any help, dear?" Barbara asked, her fake concern dripping like honey. My phone buzzed. Another client message. "Where are the designs?" "Just 15 more minutes," I whispered. Then it happened. A sharp, stinging slap echoed through the kitchen. Anna's hand. "15 minutes," she sneered. "My friends are waiting." The room spun as Helen pulled out her phone recording. "Mom, calm down," Andrew finally intervened. "Don't you dare tell me to calm down," Anna shouted. "Your wife is destroying our family's reputation." I touched my cheek, tears welling up. "She's just stressed," Andrew whispered later that night. "You know how important these dinners are." My phone buzzed one last time. Client contract terminated. I locked myself in my office, hands trembling as I opened my design folders. Everything was gone, completely wiped. You should apologize to Mom, Andrew said, knocking softly on the door. Apologize? I whispered, disbelief cutting through my grief. Are you kidding me? She's crying downstairs, he continued. Helen and Barbara are comforting her. I reopened my laptop and my stomach dropped. My designs were already posted on Helen's daughter's business page. Just then, Rachel burst in, holding a small, worn book. I found something, she said, breathless. You need to see this. It was Anna's old diary, hidden among the wreckage of my office. Rachel pointed to an entry from 5 years ago. My hands shook as I read. Finally got rid of that gold digger. A few well-placed rumors, some financial sabotage, and she's out of the picture. No one ruins my son's future, except who I choose. This isn't just about tonight, Rachel whispered. She's done this before. And Andrew, he's as much a victim as you are. But that doesn't excuse him. I stared at my reflection in the dark screen, my cheeks still red from the slap. This ends now, I said quietly. For the next week, I played the part of the broken wife, watching Anna's smug face as she basked in her supposed victory. She had no idea I was setting the perfect trap. I think I need therapy, I sniffled during Sunday dinner. Maybe I'm not good enough for this family. Oh, darling, we all have our limitations, Anna said, her smile as sweet as poison. Helen and Barbara exchanged smug glances. That night, I left my laptop open, a folder labeled New Designs. Confidential prominently displayed. Hidden cameras I'd installed captured Anna sneaking into my office at midnight. Got you, I whispered, watching the footage of her copying files. The next morning, Diane from the bank texted me. Anna tried to access your business accounts again. We flagged it. Another message from Rachel. Found the connection. Jimmy the Shark Martinez. Anna owes him big time. Later, I met Andrew's sister, Emma, at a quiet cafe. She hesitated before speaking. There's something you should know about my mother, she said. Remember Lucy, the church treasurer who moved away? What about her? She didn't move. She found discrepancies in the church accounts. Mom made sure she was discredited. The church fundraiser was in full swing when I made my move. Such generous donations, Anna announced from the podium, especially from our anonymous benefactor. Funny you should mention that, I said, standing. The bank has questions about those donations. Anna's face twitched. This isn't the time, she said, her voice strained. It's never the time, is it? I shot back. Just like it wasn't the time when Lucy found the missing money. The room went silent. How dare you? Helen snapped, rushing to Anna's defense. Show them the transfers, Anna, I challenged. Show them where the money really went. Barbara grabbed her purse, ready to flee. You ungrateful little. Anna lunged, but Emma stepped between us. Enough, Mom, Emma said firmly. I found your gambling receipts. Andrew stood frozen as his perfect family image shattered. Baby, she's lying, Anna pleaded, turning to him. Your wife is trying to destroy us. My phone buzzed. The startup using your stolen designs just got served a cease and desist. Check your phone, Hannah, I said, smiling. Helen's daughter is looking for you. Anna's face paled as she read the message. You set me up, she hissed. No, you did this to yourself, I replied. Every file you stole was watermarked. Every secret conversation recorded. Every bank transfer tracked. Emma stood beside me. The church board wants to see you, Mom, she said. Now. Andrew, do something, Anna screamed. But Andrew just stood there, silent, finally seeing his mother for who she really was. Meeting someone later? I asked, feigning innocence. Maybe Jimmy Martinez. Anna's eyes widened in panic. Whispers rippled through the crowd at the mention of the loan shark's name. This isn't over, she hissed, grabbing her designer bag. Actually, it is, I said. The FBI is very interested in those offshore accounts you've been using. As Anna stormed out, her perfectly crafted world crumbling around her, I caught Helen and Barbara trying to slip away. Don't forget your recordings, I called after them. The ones you edited to make me look crazy. I have the originals, I whispered, watching Helen and Barbara leave the church hall in handcuffs. The room emptied, leaving Andrew standing alone. Yuana, he began, his voice uncertain. I held up my hand, cutting him off. Save it. The divorce papers are on your desk. 1 year later, I stood at the podium, accepting the award for Most Innovative Agency of 2024 at the Digital Design Awards. The applause echoed around me, a testament to how far I'd come. As I stepped off stage, my assistant leaned in. Your security system detected movement at the back entrance. I glanced at the surveillance feed. Anna, her once impeccable designer wardrobe was replaced by a worn waitress uniform. She was arguing with security. "Ma'am, you're not on the list," the guard said firmly. "But that's my daughter-in-law," she pleaded. "Ex-daughter-in-law," I murmured, watching her desperation through the screen. My phone buzzed. A text from Rachel. "Turn on Channel 7. The breaking news showed Helen and Barbara being escorted from their homes in handcuffs. The suspects are charged with multiple counts of fraud and conspiracy. Another message followed. "Andrew, can we talk? I've been in therapy. I understand everything now." I stared at the screen for a moment, then deleted the message. "Ms. Jackson." A young designer approached me at the after-party. "Is it true about Anna Thompson's gambling ring?" "Old news," I said, sipping my champagne. "Focus on your designs." Emma joined me, elegant in her new business attire. "Mom's working at Denny's now. She tried getting help from her old church friends, but they're either in jail or pretending they never knew her." I smiled. "What about the loan sharks?" "They took everything," Emma replied, "even her precious china collection." Another buzz, this time from Diane at the bank. "Anna tried to open a new account today. Denied. She's on every fraud watch list." Later that night, alone in my office, I opened an email from Andrew's lawyer. "Final divorce settlement ready for signature." Without hesitation, I clicked approve. My security system pinged again. Anna was sitting in her beat-up car outside. "Should we call the police?" my assistant asked. "No need. She can't hurt me anymore." I gathered my awards and designs, turned off the lights, and walked out the front entrance. Anna's car was still there, but I didn't even glance her way. Some people call it karma. I call it justice. My phone buzzed one last time, a notification that Anna's latest loan shark victim story had gone viral. I smiled, deleted it, and stepped into my new life. Yet as I reflect, a question lingers. Was I too harsh by refusing Andrew's apology? He grew up under Anna's manipulation and finally broke free, realizing how toxic she was. Breaking generational trauma is no small feat. Some believe it deserves a second chance, especially when someone shows genuine growth. But I chose to prioritize my peace and success over reconciliation. What would you have done in my position? Could you forgive someone who enabled years of gaslighting and emotional damage? Or do some bridges, once burned, deserve to stay in ashes? Share your experiences and thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had to choose between forgiveness and self-preservation? How did it turn out? If my story resonated, consider hitting that like button and subscribing for more real-life stories about standing up to toxic people and choosing yourself. Sometimes the strongest thing we can do isn't fighting back, it's walking away and never looking back. Hi, I'm Lisa Williams. I never imagined I'd be sharing my story, yet here I am, a 33-year-old marketing executive with a successful career and a life more complicated than anyone could guess. Ever since my father passed away last year, leaving me his estate and investment portfolio, life has been both a blessing and unexpectedly a curse. "Lisa, honey, you really should consider seeing that financial advisor I recommended," my mother-in-law, Patricia, suggested during one of our weekly family dinners. Her perfectly manicured nails tapped lightly against her salmon plate. "Thanks, Patricia, but Emma's handling everything perfectly," I said, watching her lips tighten at the mention of my best friend and attorney. "Darling, you know I only want what's best for the family," she replied, emphasizing family in that familiar, pointed way that always made me feel like an outsider. James, my husband, squeezed my hand under the table. "Mom, Lisa's doing great managing everything." I reached for my heart medication, a constant reminder of my rare condition. Patricia's eyes followed the movement, her gaze calculating. "Such expensive medicine," she murmured. "Thank goodness for your father's inheritance." The following week, over lunch with Emma, she stirred her coffee thoughtfully. "I'm telling you, something's off with Patricia," Emma said. "The way she keeps pushing about your finances." She's always been controlling, but lately I trailed off, recalling the latest incident. What happened? She reorganized my home office without asking. Said she was helping, but all my important documents were moved. Before Emma could respond, Michael, James's younger brother, appeared, looking uneasy. Hey, Lisa, Emma. Just wanted to check in. Everything okay? Yeah? Why? Just be careful with the family documents, okay? Mom's been asking weird questions about your inheritance. As he left, Patricia's friend Diana approached our table. Lisa, darling, those charity event photos were lovely. Your father would have been so proud, she said, her voice dropping conspiratorially. Though Patricia had interesting comments. That evening, James brought up the charity event. Mom thinks we should combine our accounts, make things simpler. Our current arrangement works fine, I replied, taking my evening medication. But we're family, Lisa. Don't you trust us? The word trust hung in the air. Patricia's increasing presence, the constant suggestions, the missing documents, Emma's words echoed. Just because they're family doesn't mean they have your best interests at heart. I forced a smile. Of course I trust you. I just prefer to keep some things separate. James's smile didn't quite reach his eyes. The next dinner at Patricia's mansion was tense. You're being ridiculous, Lisa. We're talking about securing our future, James pressed. Our future or your gambling debts? Michael's voice cut through the tension. Silence fell over the room. What did you just say? I turned to James, who couldn't meet my eyes. Patricia's smile was razor sharp. Oh, did you know? But really, dear, with your condition, wouldn't it be safer if James managed everything? I reached for my medicine. It wasn't there. Where's my medication? Oh, those old pills. I cleaned up earlier. They were expired. They weren't expired. I just refilled them. Panic surged. The room spun. James's voice became distant. She's being hysterical again. Mom. I woke up in the hospital 2 days later, Emma clutching my hand. Thank God, Lisa. You've been out for 2 days. Emma, something's wrong. They're planning something. I know it. She showed me her tablet, her expression grim. Look. Emails between James and Patricia. Once we prove she's mentally unstable, the inheritance will transfer automatically. Michael entered, looking haunted. Lisa, I overheard Mom and James. They're planning to force you to sign everything over. He hesitated. And James has done this before. What do you mean? His first wife, Caroline. She had a substantial inheritance too. She lost everything. Later that night, Diana slipped into my room after visiting hours. Lisa, honey, I've been gathering evidence. Photos, recordings, conversations. Patricia's done this to others. You're not the first, but I'm making sure you'll be the last. Diana's voice was low but resolute. I've been doing some digging. James isn't just gambling. He's committing fraud at his firm, using client money to cover his debts. I felt a chill as the pieces began to fall into place. The late-night calls, the hidden mail, Patricia's orchestrated meetings. She planned this from the start, didn't she? Like a chess game, Michael confirmed grimly. She picked you for your inheritance, your health condition. Figured it'd make you vulnerable. My phone buzzed. A text from James. The doctors say you're confused. Let me handle everything. Then another from Patricia. Darling, I've scheduled a psychological evaluation for your own good. They're moving fast, Emma warned, but so are we. I've secured your accounts and documented everything about the medicine incident. Diana handed over her latest findings. Photos of Patricia with James's first wife, Caroline. Social events where they discussed their problematic daughters-in-law. Audio recordings of Patricia bragging about fixing family problems. I stared out the hospital window, thinking of every time I doubted myself. All the gaslighting. The manipulation. They tried to kill me, I whispered. They did, Emma said grimly. But they didn't count on you having real allies. We'll make this right, Lisa. They won't get away with it. Later, I played my part flawlessly. Of course you're right, James. I should rest more. My voice was soft, compliant, the image of a dutiful, weakened wife. Under the pillow, my phone recorded every word. That's my good girl, James said, kissing my forehead. Mom and I will handle everything. At Emma's office, we examined James' cloud storage. You wouldn't believe what I found. Emma said, eyes wide. Look at these transfers. I scrolled through the documents. He's been stealing from his clients for months. A text from Michael popped up. Mom's on the warpath. She's calling your boss right now. Minutes later, my boss called. Lisa, Patricia Anderson claims you're struggling with mental health issues. Actually, I said calmly, I've been documenting everything, including my medical records. Would you like to see them? Please do, he replied. And Lisa, she's tried this before with other employees. Next, a voice message from Diana. Patricia's telling everyone you're unstable. Don't worry, I've been sharing those honest moments from her charity events. People are starting to see her true colors. Michael met me at a secluded cafe. James lost big again last night, he whispered. He's desperate, taking even bigger risks with client money. How much? Millions, and Mom's helping him hide it. Another text from Emma. Found proof Patricia sabotaged your Marshall account presentation. She called them directly. That deal was worth millions. My whole team lost their bonuses because of her. I muttered, anger boiling. Just then, Robert, my father-in-law, showed up at my office, his hands trembling. I can't stay quiet anymore, he said. Patricia, she's done this before. Not just to Caroline. There were others. Others? 3 failed engagements before James. All wealthy women. All mysteriously unstable by the end. He sighed heavily. I helped cover it up. God forgive me. My laptop pinged, a response from James' office department. Emma's subpoena had uncovered unauthorized transfers and offshore accounts. The SEC will be very interested in this, Emma said over speakerphone. Diana chimed in with new surveillance photos. James entering underground casinos. Patricia meeting with shady lawyers. Documents being shredded. Time to end this, I said, watching James sleep later that night. For weeks, I had been gathering evidence, playing weak, all while preparing my final move. The next day, my phone lit up with updates. Michael, Mom's panicking. The country club just rescinded her membership. Diana, she's losing it. Screamed at a charity board meeting. Everyone saw it. Emma, final proof of embezzlement. It's worse than we thought. Robert, I'll testify. It's time. I touched my father's picture on my desk. You taught me to play chess, Dad. Every piece is in place. Just waiting for their final mistake. A text from Patricia. Family dinner tomorrow. Important documents to sign. I smiled. They still thought I was their pawn. Game over. I whispered, sending Emma the signal to initiate our endgame. The movers loaded the last box into their truck. Your new place is ready, Lisa, Emma confirmed. James was conveniently out of town at a conference in Chicago, a thinly veiled damage control session with furious clients. My phone buzzed nonstop with headlines. Anderson Financial under SEC investigation. Massive client fund misappropriation uncovered. Turn on the news, I said, savoring the moment. Michael's text flashed on my phone. James is trying to hide from reporters outside his office building. The breaking news ticker scrolled across my TV. Anderson Financial CEO James Anderson accused of embezzling millions. Moments later, Diana called, her voice bubbling with excitement. You should see Patricia. She's at the country club trying to do damage control. They're literally asking her to leave. Patricia's shrill voice echoed through the phone. How dare you cancel my membership? Do you know who I am? Diana's reply was razor sharp. Oh, honey, everyone knows exactly who you are now. That evening, the news hit harder. James Anderson arrested on multiple counts of financial fraud. Emma burst into my office, breathless. Patricia's liquidating everything to cover James's debts. She's losing the mansion. A text from Michael followed. The board named me interim CEO. Mom's hysterical, saying it's somehow your fault. But I never reported anything. I smiled. Their own greed had done them in. Weeks passed. My marketing firm thrived and my newly launched foundation, Phoenix Rising, dedicated to supporting survivors of financial abuse, grew stronger every day. Your story has inspired so many, Emma said during our foundation's first meeting. 3 more of James' victims came forward. Diana forwarded me a video. Patricia was being escorted from her social club. She tried charging $50,000 in personal expenses to the charity board. Diana wrote, her tone laced with satisfaction. A letter arrived from Robert. Lisa, I'm sorry I didn't stop them sooner. James got 15 years. Patricia lost everything trying to save him. You were stronger than all of us. Later that evening, my assistant rushed in. "Miss William, you've won the Community Leadership Award." Standing on stage, I gazed out at the crowd. Success isn't just about money. It's about surviving, thriving, and helping others rise. The applause was thunderous. A text from Diana buzzed. "Patricia watched your speech from the community center's TV room. She looked destroyed." I touched the new bottle of heart medication safely stored in my purse. My health had improved dramatically since leaving that toxic environment. Michael's final text arrived. "Mom had to sell her last designer bags. She's asking about James's prison visitor list. He declined to add her." I stood by the window of my beautiful new office, looking out over the city. Photos of my foundation's success stories and my firm's growing client list adorned the walls. A framed picture of my dad sat on my desk. "You were right, Dad. The best revenge is living well." As I took in the view, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace. They were finally paying for their actions, not because of anything I did, but because their own choices caught up with them. I was free. I was thriving. Some were in a prison cell and a budget retirement home. They were living with the consequences of their choices. That's the thing about karma. It doesn't need your help. It just needs your patience. What would you have done? If you discovered your marriage was orchestrated from the start, would you expose them immediately? Or would you play weak, gather evidence, and let karma run its course like I did? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed my story of survival and justice, don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more real-life stories about overcoming toxic relationships and emerging stronger. Remember, sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's watching them destroy themselves while you thrive. Hello, everyone. I'm Annie. What I'm about to share isn't easy, but I believe my story needs to be told. 3 months ago, I was 8 months pregnant, working as a pediatric physical therapist in Boston. I thought I had the perfect life. Now I'm a single mom, and I've learned the hard way that sometimes the people closest to you can be the most dangerous. This is my story of survival, strength, and justice. Let me take you back to where it all began. I absolutely loved my job at Boston Children's Hospital. Helping kids overcome physical challenges was my passion. One of my favorite patients, Tommy, was learning to walk again after an accident. Every session, he faced his challenges with determination and made me laugh. One day, he looked at me with a serious expression and said, "Miss Annie, when I grow up, I want to help kids walk just like you." That moment reaffirmed why I chose this career. "You're amazing with children, Annie. Our baby is so lucky to have you as their mother," my husband Mark would say. Mark, a software engineer, and I met through my best friend Jessica at a local charity event. We dated for 3 years before getting married in a beautiful ceremony at the Boston Harbor Hotel. "Welcome to the family, darling," Mark's mother, Barbara, said to me at the wedding. If only I had noticed that her smile didn't reach her eyes. At first, everything seemed perfect. Mark and I bought a cozy house in Cambridge. When we announced my pregnancy, everyone seemed thrilled. Barbara even helped us set up the nursery, though now I realize she was just marking her territory. "Have you thought about names yet?" Jessica asked during a lunch break at work. "We're thinking Sophia for a girl or Nathan for a boy," I replied, rubbing my growing belly. "Barbara won't like that," Mark's sister, Amanda, commented at a family dinner. "Mom always wanted her first grandchild to be named after her." I laughed it off then, but that was the first red flag I ignored. George, my father-in-law, would sit quietly during these conversations, while Kevin, Mark's younger brother, would try to lighten the mood. "Let them name their own child, Mom," Kevin would say, earning a sharp look from Barbara. The day I realized things were changing, I came home early from work to find Barbara in our house, rearranging the nursery without asking. "Oh, Annie, I just thought this layout would be better for the baby," she said. Mark gave me the spare key for emergencies. But that was just the beginning. Her controlling behavior, the subtle manipulation, the way she turned every family gathering into an opportunity to undermine me, it all built up to that dreadful Christmas dinner. If I had known then what I know now, I would have recognized the signs. But sometimes the most important lessons come at the highest cost. It all started to unravel at my 7-month checkup. After finishing a successful day at the hospital, I was surprised to see Barbara show up uninvited to my appointment. "I've raised 3 children. I know what's best," she announced to my doctor, interrupting every question. Annie's working too much. She needs to quit before the baby comes. Mrs. Thompson, my doctor said firmly, Annie's health and the baby's development are excellent. Her work schedule is perfectly safe. That evening, Mark seemed distant. Mom thinks she should move in with us after the baby comes, he said. She says first-time mothers need constant guidance. We've already discussed this, Mark. We want to bond as a new family, I reminded him. The next week, I discovered Barbara had joined my online pregnancy support group under a fake name. She was posting that I was unfit to be a mother because I planned to keep working after giving birth. Did you see what your mother posted? I showed Mark the messages. She's just worried about the baby, he said dismissively. You're being too sensitive. It's probably the hormones. His words cut deeper than Barbara's actions. Things escalated at my baby shower. Jessica had organized a beautiful celebration at her Beacon Hill home. Barbara and Amanda arrived 3 hours early to Jessica's carefully planned baby shower. Before I could even greet them, Barbara declared, "The theme is all wrong, and these guest favors? So tacky." They took over, rearranging everything without asking. I could see the frustration in Jessica's eyes, but she tried to stay composed for my sake. Later, during the party, Jessica pulled me aside. "Annie, something's not right. I overheard Barbara telling people you're planning to hire a full-time nanny and abandon your baby for work." I felt my blood boil. The next day, I went straight to Barbara's Back Bay apartment. "Why are you spreading lies about me?" I demanded. "I'm protecting my grandchild," she said, her voice calm but icy. "Mark agrees. You're making poor choices." That's when I noticed it. My personal pregnancy journal, the one that had gone missing from our house, was sitting on her coffee table. Before I could react, Amanda walked in, smirking. "Mom's just trying to help. Maybe if you were a better wife, she wouldn't have to intervene." I was speechless. The final straw came when I discovered Barbara had canceled my delivery room registration at Massachusetts General Hospital and registered me at a hospital near her home, listing herself as my primary contact. "Mark, your mother canceled my hospital registration." I confronted him that night. "She found a better hospital. The doctors there know our family," he replied, as if it were nothing. "It's an hour away from our house. I want to deliver at Mass General." "Stop fighting Mom on everything," he snapped. "She knows best." Desperate, I called Kevin. "I don't know what to do. Mark's not listening. Barbara's controlling everything." "She's always been controlling," Kevin said, his voice tense. "But this is different. She's obsessed. Be careful, Annie." Jessica helped me reinstate my Mass General registration and urged me to document everything. "Something feels very wrong," she warned. As Christmas approached, the tension only grew. Barbara insisted on hosting dinner, claiming our tiny Cambridge house wasn't suitable. She'd invited extended family I'd never met, saying they needed to evaluate my parenting potential. When Mark and I arrived early to help with dinner preparations, I overheard Barbara and Amanda in the kitchen. "We need to show everyone what she's really like," Barbara whispered. "By the time this dinner's over, Mark will see he needs to make a choice, his real family or her." I didn't realize then how far they were willing to go. The Christmas dinner from hell began with Barbara playing the perfect hostess. The Thompson family mansion in Brookline was immaculate, the tables set with expensive china. Kevin had set up his new camera to capture memories, a decision that would prove vital. "Annie, you're sitting at the far end," Barbara instructed, separating me from Mark. "Mark needs to sit by his mother, of course." Throughout dinner, Barbara made pointed remarks. "I can't believe some mothers choose work over their children," she announced. I stayed quiet, rubbing my belly soothingly as the baby kicked, sensing my distress. Then Barbara upped her game. "Did you know any plans to put the baby in daycare at 3 months?" she said, her voice dripping with Fox concern. "That's not true," I said, my voice steady but firm. "We've hired a part-time nanny for when I return to work part-time." See how she contradicts everything. Barbara huffed, always fighting family traditions. Mark stared at his plate, saying nothing. I caught Kevin's concerned glance as he adjusted his camera. When I excused myself to use the bathroom, Barbara followed, Amanda trailing behind with her phone out, ready to record. "You're ruining this family," Barbara hissed. "My son deserves better." "I'm done with your games," I said, trying to move past her. Then it happened. Barbara's face twisted with rage. She lunged at me, shoving my stomach with both hands. I stumbled back, hitting a wall. Pain exploded through me, and I doubled over, clutching my belly. "Mom," Kevin shouted, running toward us. She attacked me. Barbara screamed, but Kevin's camera had caught everything. "Mark?" I gasped through the pain. She pushed me. "Mom wouldn't do that," Mark said, his voice uncertain. "You probably just lost your balance." Kevin stepped in. "I'm calling 911. I have it all on video." The next hours were a blur of ambulance lights and hospital rooms. At Mass General, the doctors ran tests while Kevin showed the police his footage. "Your baby is stable," the doctor finally said, "but you're having contractions. We need to monitor you overnight." Jessica arrived with my hospital bag. "You're not going back there," she insisted. "You're staying with me." Later that night, Kevin brought his laptop to my hospital room. "You need to see this," he said. He had years of family videos. In every frame, Barbara's manipulation was evident. Previous girlfriends of Mark's being subtly pushed away, stage accidents, and Amanda's role in creating chaos. "Mark needs to see this," I said, my voice trembling. When Mark finally visited me in the hospital, his first words were, "Mom's really upset. She says the stress made her dizzy. She didn't mean to bump into you." That was the moment I knew the man I married would never be strong enough to stand up to his mother. As I lay there, listening to the rhythmic beat of our baby's heart on the monitor, I made my decision. I would protect my child, even if it meant doing it alone. What I didn't know then was that Kevin had already set something much bigger in motion. 2 weeks after the Christmas dinner incident, my beautiful daughter, Lily, was born at Massachusetts General Hospital. Jessica and Kevin were by my side, offering unwavering support, while Mark lingered in the hallway, still torn between his mother and his child. The next day, I filed for divorce and requested full custody of Lily. The video evidence of Barbara's assault made the legal proceedings swift and decisive, but it was only the beginning of the unraveling. "Annie, there's something you need to know," Kevin said one evening at Jessica's house, where I had been staying. His expression was grim. "I've been looking into Mom's charity foundation. The numbers don't add up." It turned out the prestigious Thompson Family Foundation, which Barbara claimed supported underprivileged children, was a front. For years, she and Amanda had been embezzling donations, using the funds to sustain their lavish lifestyle. Barbara wasn't done with me yet. She tried contacting my hospital administration, claiming I was unfit to work with children. Her plan backfired spectacularly when my colleagues presented years of stellar evaluations and heartfelt patient testimonials. "Mrs. Thompson," my supervisor said in a recorded call, "we have documentation of your prior attempts to undermine other healthcare workers. This stops now." Meanwhile, the investigation into the foundation exposed more than just financial fraud. Amanda had been falsifying corporate records at her investment firm, using the charity to hide illegal transactions. When the SEC got involved, the entire scheme crumbled. Barbara's interference even reached Mark's workplace. In a desperate attempt to prove I was controlling him, she spread rumors about his mental state. Instead, her meddling led to his project being reassigned, effectively ending his career advancement. As their carefully constructed facade collapsed, I focused on healing and building a future for Lily and me. With support from Jessica and an incredible network of friends, I opened my own pediatric therapy center in Cambridge. Our mission: to provide genuine support to children from low-income families, the kind of support Barbara's foundation only pretended to offer. One morning, Kevin sent me a news clip. Barbara and Amanda were facing federal charges for fraud and financial crimes. Their once impenetrable social circle had evaporated as more victims came forward. Daughters-in-law, charity donors, business associates, each with their own story of betrayal. Today, Lily turns 5. We're celebrating at our center's new playground, built with the help of legitimate local charities. She's twirling in a princess dress, proudly showing her friends how to use the adaptive play equipment we designed for children with diverse abilities. As I watch her, I reflect on how far we've come. If you've ever dealt with a toxic family member, what would you have done differently? Would you confront them immediately, involve your spouse, or quietly gather more evidence? Sharing our stories helps others recognize red flags before situations escalate. If this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe. Together we can build a community of support where we learn to stand up to manipulation and reclaim our strength. Stay strong, and don't forget to turn on notifications for our next video on overcoming toxic relationships. Hi, I'm Norma. Another successful quarter. The Meridian chain is thriving under your leadership, Marcus said, sliding a stack of financial reports across my desk. His voice carried its usual steadiness, but today there was a flicker of something more. Admiration, perhaps. Thanks to the whole team, I replied, brushing my fingers over the photo of my late husband James. His bright blue eyes smiled back at me from the frame, a constant reminder of the man who had built this life with me. These numbers would make him proud. Before the ache in my chest could deepen, a burst of energy swept into the room. "Mommy, look what we made." Emma and Ethan, my 6-year-old twins, barreled in, their faces alight with pride as they held up their latest masterpiece. Their father's bright blue eyes sparkled back at me through theirs. "They're beautiful sweethearts," I said warmly. "Why don't you show them to Aunt Bella? She's in the conference room." As they dashed off, Diana, my best friend and legal advisor, poked her head in. "Norma, do you have a minute? We need to discuss the new property acquisition." Running a luxury hotel chain hadn't been my dream when I married James Mitchell. His father had built the Meridian empire from the ground up, and after James's tragic car accident 2 years ago, I found myself thrust into the role of co-owner alongside my sister-in-law, Isabella, Bella to everyone. "The board meeting's about to start," Bella announced, striding into the room with her husband Robert. She set down a folder, her polished smile hiding something sharper. "I've made some adjustments to your proposal." "What adjustments?" "We agreed on the terms yesterday. I think we should reconsider the expansion into Miami. The numbers don't add up." There it was again, another subtle dig. Bella had been my rock after James's death, helping with the twins and guiding me through the business. But recently, there was a shift, a tension between us. "The Miami project stays on the agenda," I said firmly. "The board already approved the initial assessment." Bella's smile tightened. "Fine. By the way, I've reassigned some of your key staff to the Chicago property." Without consulting me, my voice sharpened. "I'm the CEO, Bella. Those decisions need my approval." "Just trying to help, dear. You've seemed overwhelmed lately, with the twins and everything." Robert shot me an apologetic glance, his eyes filled with a silent warning. He'd been doing that a lot lately, like he knew something wasn't right. That evening, as I watched Emma and Ethan play in our penthouse apartment above the flagship hotel, an unsettling thought gnawed at me. The Meridian legacy was James's gift to our children, and I had to protect it. Yet I couldn't shake the feeling that Bella wanted more, much more. "Mommy, when is Aunt Bella coming to play with us again?" Emma asked, her innocent question piercing through my thoughts. "Soon, sweetheart. Very soon." If only I had known what those words would come to mean. A brewing storm. The next morning, Marcus stormed into my office, his usually calm demeanor shattered. "Norma, we need to talk now." He clutched a stack of papers, his face pale. "These numbers don't make sense. Look at these transfers from our main accounts." I scanned the documents, my stomach twisting. Millions of dollars were missing, siphoned through a labyrinth of shell companies. "All these accounts are under Bella's oversight," I whispered, my voice hollow. Before Marcus could respond, Karen, my longtime assistant, entered, her expression uneasy. "Mrs. Mitchell, several department heads asked me to inform you that Miss Isabella has called an emergency board meeting. Without you." "What?" My pulse quickened. "She can't do that." As if on cue, my phone buzzed. A text from the twins' school. Emma had fallen down the stairs. When I arrived, the nurse explained, "Someone called, claiming you authorized them to pick up the twins early. We refused and Emma got upset." That night, Robert appeared at my door, his face drawn with worry. "Norma, I need to tell you something about Bella," he said, his voice trembling. "She's not sleeping. She's making strange phone calls at night. I found gambling receipts." I stared at him stunned. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because," Robert swallowed hard, his voice barely a whisper, "I'm scared." The breaking point. "Please don't let her know I told you," Robert pleaded, his voice trembling. "She gets explosive when she feels cornered." His words haunted me all night, but I had no idea just how quickly Bella's madness would escalate. The next morning, Ethan's allergic medication went missing, right before he suffered a severe reaction. If Diana hadn't been visiting with her spare EpiPen, things could have ended tragically. "This isn't a coincidence," Diana said firmly as we sat in my office later that day. Her eyes were sharp, calculating. "I did some digging. Bella worked at 3 companies before marrying Robert. All 3 reported major fraud cases right after she left. And the evidence? It disappeared. Every time." I didn't have time to process Diana's revelation before the head of maintenance knocked on my door, his expression grim. "Mrs. Mitchell, we found something strange in the twins' playroom. The window safety locks were tampered with." My heart plummeted. Within hours, I had cameras installed throughout the penthouse and my office. That evening, I uncovered something even more disturbing. Every senior staff member had received emails, supposedly from me, about my stress-related issues and erratic behavior. "She's trying to push you out," Diana warned. "This isn't just about power anymore, Norma. I think the twins are in danger." I stayed up all night reviewing security footage. At 3 a.m., I froze. Bella, in my private office, accessing my computer, copying files. The next morning, Emma's innocent voice shattered my fragile composure. "Mommy, why was Aunt Bella in our room last night?" My blood ran cold. "What do you mean, sweetie?" She was standing by our beds, Emma whispered, eyes wide. She looked scary. This wasn't just about the business. Bella wanted everything, and she didn't care who she hurt to get it. The security company called shortly after. Someone had tried to disable the cameras in the twins' wing. The evidence was mounting, but one wrong move and I could lose everything, or worse, someone could get hurt. I glanced at my children, blissfully unaware of the storm closing in. I needed proof. Real proof, and I had to get it before Bella made her next move. The inferno. "The Tokyo deal isn't worth your personal attention, Norma." "I can handle it," Bella insisted, her smile flawless but her tone sending chills down my spine. "I've already booked the flight," I lied. "I'll be back tomorrow night." Instead, I switched flights and returned early. My security team texted about unusual activity in the penthouse. Bella had arrived unannounced. As I stepped off the elevator, the smell of smoke hit me. Then I heard the screams. "Mommy, help, we can't get out." Heart pounding, I raced down the hallway. Smoke seeped from under the door next to the playroom. I grabbed the handle, it wouldn't budge. "Emma, Ethan, stay away from the door. Security is coming." Poor Norma, always rushing back to those brats. I spun around to see Bella emerge from the shadows, eerily calm. "You should have stayed in Tokyo," she said, her voice cold. "What have you done?" I demanded. "The key, Bella. Now." "You still don't get it," she sneered. "I had it all planned perfectly. A tragic accident while Mommy was away. I would have inherited everything, the business, the properties, even their trust funds." The smoke thickened. My twins' coughs grew fainter. "Security, break down the door." I screamed into my phone. Bella laughed, the sound chilling. "Just like James' accident. Cut brake lines are so reliable." "But Robert, he couldn't keep his mouth shut about that one. Could he?" Time stopped. James's death. It wasn't an accident. The reckoning. Later, at the hospital, as the twins were treated for smoke inhalation, the police uncovered damning evidence in Bella's private office. Detailed plans, forged documents, and photos of the twins' routines. She had been planning this for months. A detective approached me, his expression grave. "Mrs. Mitchell, we found something else. Documents about your husband's accident. Surveillance photos of your children dating back months. There were previous attempts. The accidents. The missing medication. The tampered locks." It all made horrifying sense. "We've got everything we need now," he continued. Text messages, security footage, financial records, Robert's testimony. I looked at my sleeping twins, their innocent faces still bearing traces of fear. For years, I'd shared my life, my home, and my family with a monster. But no more? "No more playing nice," I whispered, gripping Emma's hand. "She tried to kill my babies. She murdered their father. She's going to pay for everything." The cost of betrayal. First, I had to make sure my children were safe. I didn't know then that Bella's attempt to destroy us would lead to her own spectacular downfall. And it wouldn't come from me at all. Package all the evidence and send copies to every relevant authority. Diana instructed her team. Financial crimes. Attempted murder. everything. While Bella sat in jail, awaiting trial for the fire, an anonymous tip landed on the FBI's desk. The rabbit hole went deeper than anyone imagined. International money laundering through our hotels. I sat across from a federal agent, stunned. Your sister-in-law was working with dangerous people, he explained. She used your properties to launder millions for gambling syndicates. Then Bella's world truly began to collapse. Her so-called friends in the gambling world turned on her the moment their money disappeared. That crazy woman took us for millions. One of them confessed to save himself. The feds uncovered offshore accounts, fake identities, and years of elaborate schemes. Robert, finally breaking his silence, filed for divorce. In his testimony, he revealed everything. She bragged about killing James, he admitted, his voice cracking. Said it was so easy to tamper with the brakes, to make it look like an accident. She laughed about it. The evidence was overwhelming. Not even Bella's expensive lawyers could save her now. Guilty on all counts, the judge declared. The defendant is sentenced to 25 years without the possibility of parole. I watched as Bella was led away in handcuffs, her once polished designer image reduced to prison orange. She screamed obscenities, blaming everyone but herself. The aftermath. 5 years passed quickly. The twins turned 11, growing stronger and wiser from our ordeal. Without Bella's poison, the Meridian Empire flourished. We opened 3 new properties, including a resort in Tokyo. Ironically, the place Bella had tried to send me that fatal day. Last week, I received a letter from her prison chaplain. Bella was begging for forgiveness, claiming she had changed. I didn't need to read past the first line. I tore it up and tossed it away. Mrs. Mitchell, your next appointment is here, my assistant called. I smiled at Emma and Ethan. Come on, kids, time for your first real board meeting. As we walked into the conference room where Bella once plotted against us, I saw my children's excited faces. They were alive, safe, thriving. James would be proud. The empire he built wasn't just surviving, it was growing. And his killer? She was rotting in prison, forgotten by everyone who once feared her. That's the thing about karma. It always collects its debts. Sometimes you just have to be patient and let toxic people destroy themselves. I turned to my twins, ready to learn the family business. Ready, Mom, we'll make it even better than before. And we did. That's what real family does. We build each other up, not tear each other down. Bella learned that lesson the hard way, from behind bars. But what would you do if someone you completely trusted, someone who helped you through your grief and played a loving onto your children, was secretly plotting to murder your family? Could you ever forgive them, even years later when they beg for forgiveness from prison? Hi everyone, I'm Amelia, and this is the story of how I transformed from the perfect daughter-in-law to the woman my in-laws wished they'd never underestimated. 2 years ago, I married Marcus Thompson, believing I found my happily ever after. He was charming, successful in real estate, and seemed to appreciate my intelligence. But I quickly realized I hadn't married just him. I'd walked straight into a den of pretense and judgment. Darling, that dress. Remind me where it's from again. Target? My mother-in-law, Victoria, would casually remark at family dinners. We really should take you shopping somewhere more appropriate. I'd smile politely, biting my tongue, clutching my master's degree in business like a shield. Meanwhile, Marcus would chuckle, oblivious to the constant jabs at my middle-class roots. You know, dear, Victoria once said, the Richardsons' daughter-in-law just redecorated their entire summer house. Such taste. Perhaps she could give you a few pointers. I'd had enough. Actually, I've been thinking about contributing more directly to the family, I said one evening. I'd like to apply for a position at Thompson Enterprises. The room fell silent. Richard, my father-in-law, nearly choked on his wine. How ambitious of you, Victoria sneered. The interview with Richard was even worse than I'd imagined. Sitting across from him in his imposing mahogany office, I handed him my resume. What makes you think you're qualified to work here? Being Marcus's wife isn't a skill set. I have extensive business knowledge and... Listen, dear, your job is to be a good wife to my son. Leave the business to those who understand it. That night, I called my best friend Sarah, fighting back tears. Can you believe what he said to me? Girl, you need to show them who you really are. You've got a master's degree, and they're treating you like you barely finished high school. Marcus says I should know my place. His exact words. And what exactly is your place, Amelia? Under their designer shoes. Then there was Amanda, Marcus's sister, who treated me like a stain on her Louboutins. One day, after brunch, she cornered me. You know, Amelia, I always wondered what my brother saw in you. Now I realize you're just convenient, quiet, moldable. I'm more than you think, Amanda. Are you? Because all I see is someone desperate to fit into a world she'll never belong to. That night, I stared at my reflection, wondering how I'd allowed myself to become invisible. My phone buzzed. It was Sarah again. You're not going to believe this, she said. Remember that business show I'm producing? We need someone with your expertise. I glanced at my forgotten degree, then at the photo of my perfect life with the Thompsons. Let me think about it, I said, not knowing this would be the first step in changing everything. I never meant to find those documents. I was just organizing Marcus's home office when a file labeled offshore holdings caught my eye. The numbers didn't add up. Millions were being siphoned from Thompson Enterprises into shadow accounts. Marcus, we need to talk about what I found in your office. You were snooping through my things? No, I was cleaning. And know your place. I'm your wife, not your accountant. His face turned red, veins bulging in his neck. No one would believe a nobody like you anyway. A few days later, Amanda burst into our house unannounced. Oh my God, Amelia, you'll never guess what I just saw. Actually, maybe I shouldn't tell you. What is it, Amanda? I caught Marcus and Jennifer at the Westbrook Hotel. They were, well, you can guess. My stomach dropped. Jennifer, Amanda's best friend. The one who was always hanging around our house. I have pictures, Amanda smirked. Don't worry, I won't show them to anyone, Amanda said with a smug smile. Marcus and I have an understanding now. When I confronted Marcus about Jennifer, Victoria somehow found out and called immediately. If you were a better wife, Marcus wouldn't need to look elsewhere, she snapped. You're too focused on your silly career dreams instead of your marriage. I hung up without a word and called Sarah. I can't do this anymore. Amelia, listen to me, she said firmly. Start documenting everything. I'll help you gather evidence. And you know what? Start that consultancy you've been talking about. I'll be your first client. That was the turning point. I began working late, telling Marcus I was taking online cooking classes. In reality, I was crafting a business plan and meeting potential clients in discreet coffee shops far from our neighborhood. That's where I met Lisa. Your analysis of market trends is impressive, she said, stirring her coffee. Have you considered sharing your insights on a larger platform? What do you mean? I asked. I host Business Breakthrough on Channel 8. We're always looking for fresh perspectives. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Where are you? Mom's coming for dinner. Sorry, lost track of time at my cooking class. Well, hurry up, and Amelia, try not to embarrass me this time. I glanced at Lisa and then back at my phone. Actually, Lisa, tell me more about this platform. That night, Sarah called. Got everything documented. Marcus's embezzlement, Amanda's blackmail, the affair. It's all here. Just say the word. Not yet, I replied. But soon, let them think I'm nothing. They won't see me coming. I closed my eyes, mentally rehearsing my first TV segment. Soon, everyone would know exactly who Amelia Thompson really was. The divorce papers landed on Marcus's desk like a bomb. His face shifted from confusion to rage. You ungrateful little. Save it. I cut him off. My lawyer has everything, the embezzlement, Jennifer, all of it. No one will believe you. You're nothing without me. An hour later, Victoria's screech echoed through my phone. How dare you embarrass our family? I'm calling everyone in the club committee. You'll never work in this city. I laughed. Go ahead, Victoria. I'm sure they'll be interested in hearing about Marcus's creative accounting. Meanwhile, my consultancy was thriving. After my first few TV appearances with Lisa, the calls started pouring in. Amelia, your segment on investment strategies was brilliant, Lisa said during a coffee break. We want you as our regular financial expert, prime time, twice a week. Marcus cornered me outside the lawyer's office. I'll destroy you. You'll leave this marriage with nothing. Like how you're destroying your father's company. Those offshore accounts must be getting heavy. His face went pale. Sarah was ecstatic. Amelia, we're doing a special. Women breaking barriers. You're our headline speaker. But the Thompsons weren't finished. Victoria crashed my biggest client meeting smirking. Did you know she worked as a waitress in college? Can you trust your finances to someone so common? The CEO smiled. Actually, Mrs. Thompson, I worked as a janitor while attending Harvard. Amelia's insights have already saved us millions. Then I found it buried deep in Thompson Enterprises' internal reports. Their empire was crumbling. During a chance elevator encounter with Richard, I couldn't resist. Your son's been bleeding you dry. Check account series XG789. You're 6 months from bankruptcy. You're lying, he hissed. Like you lied about me being unqualified. Karma's interesting, isn't it? That night, Sarah called again. Remember that anonymous tip about corporate fraud? It's trending. Every network wants the story. I watched their perfect world unravel from my new penthouse office. Marcus's face dominated the news, not in a good way. You did this, his voicemail roared. I'll make you pay. I texted back, check tomorrow's business breakthrough. I'm doing a special on corporate fraud detection. You might learn something. A text from Amanda lit up my phone. You knew all along, didn't you? While I was blackmailing Marcus, you were building an empire. I smiled, thinking of tomorrow's show. The Thompsons wanted a perfect daughter-in-law. Instead, they got me, Amelia, the woman who brought their house of cards tumbling down. The next morning, my segment on corporate fraud detection went viral. The irony wasn't lost on anyone when federal agents stormed Thompson Enterprises. Today's top story: real estate mogul Marcus Thompson arrested on multiple charges of tax evasion and embezzlement, the news anchor announced. Sarah called, barely able to contain her excitement. Amelia, your episode broke all the records, and guess who sent that anonymous tip? Amanda, I said, unsurprised. Later, a final text from Amanda. I know it's too late, but I'm sorry. I sent everything I had to the feds. The pictures of Marcus and Jennifer, just the beginning. Jennifer, of course, was doing her best damage control on social media. I had no idea Marcus Thompson was involved in criminal activities. I am totally devastated by his deception. Right, like she was devastated when she was spending my husband's stolen money. Victoria's social fall was nothing short of spectacular. At the country club, whispers turned to open disdain. How dare you show your face here after what your son did? But we didn't know, Victoria stammered. Really? Your daughter-in-law tried to warn you. You know, the one you said wasn't good enough. Meanwhile, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. International clients, speaking requests, book deals. Sarah was handling the overflow. London wants you for a financial crime symposium. Tokyo's offering a consulting contract. Oh, and Richard's been trying to reach you. I saw Richard waiting in my office lobby, looking decades older, his arrogance replaced by desperation. Amelia, please, we need your help. Your expertise could save what's left of the company. Like when I offered my expertise during that job interview. I was wrong. We were all wrong about you. Name your price. My price? I leaned in. How about the satisfaction of saying no? That's worth more than any consulting fee. Marcus called from jail. Baby, I've changed. I'll make it up to you. We can start fresh. Sorry, Marcus. I'm too busy being just a housewife to take your call. The business news couldn't get enough. Rising star Amelia Mitchell's consultancy expands to 3 continents. Meanwhile, Marcus faced 20 years behind bars. Victoria made one last attempt, cornering me at a charity gala. We're still family. You can't just walk away. Family? I smiled coldly. You made it clear I was never family. I was just the help who married above her station. Remember? Sarah watched as Victoria slinked away. Amelia, you realize you're living every wronged woman's dream. I glanced around at the respect, the success, the vindication. No, Sarah, I'm living my dream. The one they said I didn't deserve. Later that night, a package arrived. Amanda had sent it, my old nameplate from the Thompson house, the one that read the perfect daughter-in-law. Attached was a note. You were never meant to be perfect for them. You were meant to be perfect at being you. I placed the nameplate on my desk, right next to my latest achievement award. A reminder that the best revenge isn't just success. It's succeeding as yourself, especially when others insisted you should be somebody else. The final stroke of karma. Thompson Enterprises' remaining assets were auctioned off. The buyer, my consulting firm. Not because I wanted their business, but because now, every time they see that old company building, they'll see my name on it. And me, I'm just getting started. After all, they always said I needed to learn my place. Well, I found it, right at the top. What would you have done in my shoes? Exposed the fraud immediately, or played the long game, building an empire while they underestimated you? Sometimes, patience and strategy are more powerful than instant revenge. Drop your thoughts in the comments.